The Great Deception. The alien threat in The X-Files wasn't uncovered, it was manufactured. Season 10's My Struggle reframes Roswell not as a cover-up gone wrong, but as the beginning of a deliberate myth. Every abduction, every flashing light, every crop circle became a diversion, steering attention away from human hands building weapons under the banner of defense. Governments and corporations funded research, while the public scanned the skies for something that was never there. By turning extraterrestrials into the perfect scapegoat, the series exposed how propaganda doesn't just hide truth. It replaces it. The X-Files dramatized a real psychological weapon, belief engineering. Fear became a commodity, distributed through news, rumor, and cultural fascination until doubt itself felt patriotic. And that begs one question that haunted every shadowy scene. If fear of aliens was designed, then who designed it?
Yeah.
I'm here.
The Syndicate's origins.
Where were the safeguards against this? These files were never to be seen.
40 years of work. The damage could be incalculable.
Damage is done.
Gentlemen, we have control.
The Syndicate wasn't guarding alien truths, they were building a human empire from the ruins of war. Born out of post-World War II intelligence networks, they evolved into a technocratic class fluent in secrecy, designing myths to hide their own bioengineering experiments. Their genius was turning fiction into camouflage, trading data with other governments while blaming every unexplained phenomenon on visitors from the stars. Mulder's endless search made him their finest decoy. His need to believe gave the Syndicate endless cover, a perfect smokescreen that kept every investigator chasing lights instead of laboratories. Their myth of alien collaboration disguised pure political control, human ambition dressed as otherworldly mystery. The real brilliance of the Syndicate wasn't manipulation, it was persuasion. They convinced even their enemies to maintain the lie, ensuring the cover-up thrived long after the architects vanished. Quick pause before we dive into the next hidden meaning. If you're enjoying this breakdown, make sure to hit that subscribe button right now. We've got even deeper. The X-Files theories, trust me, you don't want to miss what's next. The Cigarette Smoking Man. The cigarette smoking man isn't an alien accomplice, he's the narrator behind the entire illusion. His hand in history's biggest moments isn't luck, it's authorship. The show uses him to reveal how easily stories can overwrite facts, how a calm whisper can redirect the course of belief. He never needs proof of extraterrestrials because he understands belief itself is enough. Through every calculated pause and ash flick, he sustains the myth that grants him control. The cigarette isn't habit, it's an instrument, the slow burn of deception he keeps alive one draw at a time. He's less villain and more editor of reality, shaping what the world calls truth. By the time his smoke clears, we're forced to see him for what he is, the personification of managed truth, the storyteller who never stops writing.
What their father did had to be done.
The Men in Black. The Men in Black in The X-Files aren't cosmic janitors, they're the human enforcers of confusion. Their job isn't to erase memory, but to scramble it, leaving witnesses unsure whether anything strange happened at all. Every time they arrive in those matching suits and deadpan smiles, they reinforce the idea that aliens are policing Earth while the real culprits keep experimenting unseen. They work like real disinformation agents, turning investigation into absurd theater. When they bungle tasks or spout nonsense, it's not incompetence, it's strategy. Their behavior discredits anyone who tries to speak out, shifting suspicion from unethical science to imaginary saucers. They're not evidence of alien oversight, they're proof that paranoia can be manufactured with rhythm and uniformity. Whether Mulder ever recognized their awkward performances as deliberate manipulation remains the show's silent question. Roush Technologies. Roush Technologies looks like routine biotech, but in the X-Files it's the corporate shell where science and secrecy finally merge. Its labs develop genetic and viral research under government contracts, while channeling the results into experiments no agency would dare approve. That mix of innovation and immunity makes Roush the model of privatized conspiracy. Their scientists study hybrid DNA and pathogen behavior, producing data that sustains the myth of alien evidence. Behind closed doors, Scully's genome analysis cracks open that myth, revealing that so-called alien code originates from humans tampering with their own biology. Roush turns the language of progress into a cover story for eugenic intent. Every vial, every test result, is a reminder that their science manufactures distortion. The clean data Scully chases becomes corrupted the moment Roush interprets it. The black oil. The black oil might be the X-Files' most deceptive creation, a shimmering parasite mistaken for proof of alien life. It slips into bodies, takes control, and turns its hosts into silent messengers for something beyond understanding. But its real power isn't physical, it's ideological. The oil spreads like belief itself, creeping through rumors and panic, until fear feels contagious. As a metaphor, it distills humanity's instinct to obey when facing the unknown. It infects minds the same way ideas infect systems, converting doubt into devotion. Even Mulder's conviction mirrors its rhythm. Once it enters, there's no room for neutrality. By blurring biology and persuasion, the black oil becomes the show's true invader. It's not from another planet, it's a weaponized faith, flowing through veins and headlines alike, proving the most dangerous contagion is belief. Purity control. Purity control was pitched as salvation, a scientific firewall against alien infection. In truth, it was the illusion of order built over a pit of chaos. The project promised containment while hiding experiments that trespassed every ethical line imaginable. Scully's discovery of engineered genetic material exposes that purity wasn't protection at all, but tampering. It's humanity rewriting its own blueprint and calling it rescue. The Syndicate used this narrative as their moral armor, claiming defense while redefining what human meant. The irony sits right in the title. Purity implies safety, but here it translates to selection, to superiority dressed as survival. The idea echoes debates buried across science fiction. How far do we go to perfect ourselves before we lose the right to call it human? In the X-Files, purity didn't save us. It redesigned us. The vaccine.
You have the vaccine.
Yes.
The vaccine in the X-Files was never about healing. It was about managing who survives. It offered controlled immunity, shielding a chosen few while branding others as expendable. The science seemed humanitarian, but the strategy was political. Scully's DNA became the key, not to curing infection, but to defining a template for acceptable humanity. Episodes quietly hint that protection was never universal. The serum drew an invisible line between those deemed essential and those left outside the plan. That's textbook depopulation fiction. Salvation with a selection clause. The alien contagion narrative mutates here into human-engineered evolution, authorized by consent and ignorance alike. What looked like medicine was the most elegant form of control. The cure became the weapon, turning trust itself into infrastructure. Saving people wasn't the intent, preserving power was. The smokescreen. Mulder's crusade for truth was never rebellion. It was containment. His search turned into the conspiracy's most reliable feedback loop, keeping the myth alive by chasing its decoys. Every abductee file, every frantic tip from an informant was placed to nourish his obsession and validate it just enough to keep him running. His loneliness made him the perfect study subject. Belief didn't just guide him, it consumed him, evolving into a kind of programmed fixation.
Like yourself, I'm a true believer. What I need is your expertise.
You said if I ever put the pieces together that you would confirm.
And have you?
In Season 10's My Struggle, that the claim that Roswell was just a smokescreen hits like proof that every clue was scripted by human architects, not visitors above. Mulder wasn't hunting anything anymore. He was being observed. The believer became the experiment, his truth the cage built around him. The saddest realization? He was designed to believe perfectly. Monsters of the Week. The Monster of the Week. Episodes looked like detours, but they were camouflage. Each bizarre creature or freak occurrence gave Mulder and the audience something immediate to chase, keeping eyes firmly on the weird and away from the system manufacturing that weirdness. The format rewarded curiosity while gently steering it off course.
The only time he reacted was when he saw the dead body.
If I find out you lied to me, you're a dead man.
Darren Morgan's satirical episodes pulled the curtain halfway back, exposing the absurdity of hunting imaginary threats while human deception worked right beneath the surface. Humor and horror blended into a kind of anesthesia. You laughed, you flinched, but you didn't question the machinery behind it. Every beast felt tangible enough to believe in, which was precisely the point. The show let us fear the monsters on screen, so we wouldn't notice the real ones wearing badges and lab coats. Distraction was deliberate. It was part of the design. The Faceless Rebels. The Faceless Rebels arrive in the X-Files as soldiers without identity, the embodiment of rebellion stripped bare. They revolt against both aliens and the Syndicate, but their fight is less about freedom and more about erasing ownership of truth. Their smooth, featureless faces turn them into a warning. When every movement for liberation loses its individuality, it mirrors the control it seeks to overthrow. Their anonymity feeds the same confusion that birthed the conspiracy. No one knows who's real, who's loyal, or what side actually exists. In that fog, their uprising feels like the system consuming itself. Their rebellion marks the illusion cracking from within, exposing the human cost of manufactured obedience. Facelessness becomes both curse and message, showing that in a war for narrative, identity itself becomes disposable collateral. The Spartan virus. The Spartan virus was the Syndicate's final design, a human-made pathogen meant not to wipe us out but to reboot humanity on their terms. It stripped the immune system of protection, leaving survival to those predetermined by its creators. With this, the alien narrative became unnecessary. The terror was finally and entirely human. Scully's race to decode her own genome exposed that salvation would come from within, through human technology, not intervention from elsewhere. Her body held both problem and solution, proof that science could correct what ambition corrupted. David Duchovny once noted that conspiracies endure because power demands them, echoing the show's pivot away from aliens to control. The Spartan virus completed that shift. The last invasion wasn't interstellar, it was engineered evolution. So, if humanity already colonized itself, who decides when the programming stops? The ultimate truth.
Scully, listen to me. I've been misled. We've been misled.
Mulder, hold on a second.
No, just listen to what I'm saying. All right? What if everything we've been led to believe in is a lie? What if there is no alien conspiracy?
Can we pull over a second? I've got to get out.
The final revelation of the X-Files lands close to home. Everything circles back to us. Belief, deceit, survival, all human designs repackaged as cosmic mystery. The arc transforms aliens from invaders into reflections, symbols of our craving to externalize guilt and control. The truth isn't that aliens were fake, it's that people needed them to be real. They gave shape to fear too uncomfortable to name. Scully's science tried to rationalize it, while Mulder's faith mythologized it, two halves of the same illusion maintaining equilibrium. The truth out there dissolves into the mind's projection. Fear becomes architecture constructed by those desperate for meaning. Each generation rebuilds the lie in new forms. Confusion feeding belief, belief sustaining control. Every conspiracy begins this way, with conviction, and every believer chasing clarity unknowingly fuels the next elaborate fiction called truth. The X-Files never predicted the future. It diagnosed human nature. Every theory, every myth, every shadowed truth was less about aliens and more about how easily people surrender logic for comfort. It showed that belief is architecture, built by those who benefit from it and maintained by those afraid to question. So ask yourself, not what you believe, but why you believe it. Because even truth can be a weapon when it's designed to control. If this breakdown made you rethink what trust no one really means, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment. Has your belief ever been manipulated?